Okay, so today we're going to be building this newsletter automation. And the idea is that the agent will research topics that you give it in a query. It will find links relevant to that topic, go read those links, and then a writing agent will put together a newsletter, and then we'll have an editing agent to format it nicely, and it goes into email. Now, the topics will also be will be cited in the email, so you can see the actual sources they got the information from. This is really good if you don't want to spend 3 to 4 hours every week, accumulating your ideas and newsletters to distribute Monday to Sunday, and then spending another 3 hours after that every week. You can simply run the automation. And today we're going to go through how to build it. So it's right here it's on the screen, and I'll show you what happens when you run it first, so you can have a look at what it looks like. So let me just unpin all these. Okay, it has a schedule trigger, but that doesn't really matter. And the query I've given it is AI adoption for small businesses. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna run this flow. And while it's running, I'm just gonna explain a little bit about what we will do today. So we'll build it step by step. Every node, I'll show you how to set up the API keys for this, how to set up the API keys for any of these chat models that you choose to use, how to set up the email authentication so you can always have that there whenever you need it. And then we'll go through the importance of choosing a model that can actually handle JSON output and that can call tools, because not all of them can. And then we'll talk about how to go from what you'll see the output of this is, and I'll tell you how to go from that to a more aesthetic, more newsletter, more modern look, just simply by using Claude and not having to actually do any of the prompt engineering yourself and simply asking Claude to do it for you. Okay, so while this runs, I'm gonna just come back. Should be done in a second. This doesn't really take that long, to be honest, but it is doing a lot of researching and formatting. So let's just let it run. Okay, as you can see, it's almost done, and I've deactivated these right here. So just ignore those, because I'm gonna show you what it looks like when you simply pass a prompt to Claude and tell it to make it better. You end up with something that is almost 1,000 times better than what you usually have. All right, as you can see, it's done. So it sent, I put my email there, so it sent me an email. Okay, here it is. Welcome to the January 10th, 2026 edition as a digital landscape, whatever. Mastering AI search, the rise of generative engine optimization, shattering common AI myths, the great founder migration. And here we have all the sources that it had. Okay, so you've seen what it does. Now let's talk about how to build it, and I'll get to these nodes towards the end of the video. All right, so to get started, you're gonna open n8n, and we're just gonna open a new workflow here. All right, so we're simply gonna start by just pressing tab, and we'll start with just a manual trigger. Okay, and now you're gonna need to set up something called Tavli. So if you press this plus here, it's gonna open what you can connect to it, and there's Tavli, and what we're looking for is search. Okay, now to set up the Tavli account, all you're actually gonna do is open tavli.com. Um, you're gonna go here, you make a free account, you log. And the good thing with Tavli is you get free credits, so you don't actually have to do anything. You simply just can sign up, log in, and go from there. So I'm gonna just sign into my account, and I'll show you guys how the free credit system works. Okay, so you can see I have my default API key here, and monthly plan, and you get 1,000 credits just for free. Right? You get 1,000 credits for free. So as you can see, I've used 0 out of the 1,000, and that's because this is the new account, because I want to show you guys. So what you will do is you'll come here, you'll sign up, get your free 1,000 credits, and then you're gonna come here and you're gonna see this. You're gonna copy this. This is the default API key. Now You go back to n8n, open Tavli search, go here, press create new credential. Paste the API key. I'm gonna just name this with the email I just signed in with. I'm gonna press save. Credential successfully created inside your space. And it says this is important because this means that it's actually working. Okay, so that's all you do to set up the Tavli node. All right. Now I'm gonna show you how to set up any of the other Gemini credentials or OpenAI credentials that you want to use. So first you're gonna go here and you're gonna go to AI agent and you're gonna choose define below because we are gonna specify what the prompt is for this. And you're gonna turn on require specific output format. And I'm gonna get to these in a minute. So this is an agent. Okay, now the agent won't work even if I for example put this query in here of AI automation for small businesses and I click execute workflow. You see, this is not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work is because without a chat model, the agent can't run. So we need to set up a chat model and we also need to give it a prompt. So for the chat model, if you're going to pick a model that can call tools, then you need to really be decisive because there aren't that many language models that can call tools. So for example, if we go to OpenAI, I think any of them after 3.5 turbo you can call. And this is what I usually would use as the fallback model because I don't want it to be my primary model. So you can enable fallback model. And where it says fallback model, which is this one, you can just connect it there. The main one I want to use is Gemini. And the reason I want to use Gemini is because Gemini 3 Pro is really, really good at calling tools and it's really good at JSON outputs. Now, I'll explain to you what JSON means in a second. All we'll do is we'll go here and we'll pick Gemini 3 Pro Preview, and that's going to be our main language model for the agent. And this is just going to be a backup model in case this model fails, it can call this one. And this one I would actually recommend you just set it to Gemini 5, to GPT-5. So we can just go ahead and call it GPT-5. Okay. Now, to set up credits for these, you're going to need to actually have money in the account. So for this, you will get free n8n credits when you just start, but if you've been in n8n for a while, you won't have them, and so you'll need to set up the credentials for this. Now, I've explained how to do this before, but what you need to do is you need to actually go to the billing site. Let me just show you where that is. All right, so you're just going to go to Chrome, and you're going to go to platform.openai. And okay, this is where it's gonna, let me just show you. If you go to platform.openai, you're gonna get to this page here. And then you're gonna need to sign in or sign up to an account here. Once you have that, you wanna scroll down to where it says pricing. Okay. And these are the costs that we're gonna use. So for example, we just had a GPT-5 node that we put in as the backup model. That's gonna cost us $1.25 per million tokens. Now, when you go to the billing section is where you can go ahead and just load your credits in. So we'll go to billing. Okay, so here you're gonna need to put some money in, and you can put like $5. I think it's the minimum, and it'll last you a long time because it really doesn't cost that much money to run OpenAI's large language models. So I have $6 in here. This is more than enough to do anything with really for quite a while before you need to reload. And then once you have money in here, you go to API keys, and I have quite a few, but basically what you'll do is you'll do create new API key. Here I'll just call it newsletter fallback model. It doesn't really matter what you name it. Select the default project, create new secret key. Okay, this is the actual key. So you're gonna copy this, all right? Make sure you have money in that account. You're gonna copy it, you're gonna come here, create new credential. We're gonna paste the key in here. I'm gonna call it newsletter fallback. It's gonna save, it's gonna test it, it's working fine. That's great. Okay, awesome. Now, if you're gonna use Gemini, then you're gonna need to go to cloud. Okay, you're gonna go to cloud dot, you're gonna go to cloud dot, here it is, console.cloud dot Google. By the way, for this, if you make a new account, you will get a lot of free credits. In fact, if I show you this other one, if I show you this one, I should have a lot of free credits in this one because when you make a free account, you get a bunch of free credits. So this account is new, and you'll be able to see that, okay, these are the API keys and everything. But if I go here, you can see I have about $300 in and 39 days remaining. So when you make a project here, you go here, new project if you don't have a project. If you have a project, then click on that project. So I'm gonna click on this. I'm gonna click on this. So let's go to new project. So I can show you how to do it. We'll call it newsletter automation. There's no organization. So we're gonna just create this. Okay. Now we're in this new project. So I go here and I'm gonna pick this new newsletter automation. This is the project that I'm in now. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go down here. You're gonna click on APIs and services. Okay. And you're gonna see we don't have anything here because we haven't enabled any APIs or services. So to do this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to enable API and services, and you're gonna search for, we're gonna search for Gemini API. All right, Gemini API, the first one right here. Now I'm gonna click enable. Okay, now it's enabled, but we still need to have an API key to put into n8n. So you're gonna go to credentials, you click credentials, and as you can see, there are no API keys here to display. We're gonna create credential API key. I'm gonna call it newsletter automation, and we're gonna create. Okay, now you're gonna just copy this. We're gonna go to n8n right here, new credential, API key, paste it in. This was, I'm gonna just make sure I got the, delete this after the video, but, and we called it newsletter automation. I press save, and its connection tested successfully. Okay, now that we have these two things here, when I click this, oh, sorry, we still need to feed in the output of this thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and just set this to expression, and I'm gonna write here JSON dot output, which will just be the output of the previous node, the Tavli node. Okay, but first let's just run this to make sure that Tavli is working. Okay, so you can see Tavli is working. We got this output from the Tavli node. All right, and we also have a functioning agent, because now what I can do is I can just connect this here. I can pull from here what I want, right? What I want. So for example, I can just go ahead and put this URL, just drag it and drop it there, and I can just say here, explain to me what this is. Okay, now if I execute this step, it's gonna go ahead and call on the Gemini model that we gave it. Now, okay, while it's doing that, let's go back here for a second. So here we are gonna pass in this as the user message, and we have a different message down here called a system message. So I'll get to what those mean in a second. Based on the article found, and as you can see, it's given me a whole explanation about what that is because that's what I asked it to do. And it's done that using the Gemini chat model. Now we can obviously do the same thing with the OpenAI model. If we just disconnect it and we connect it to there, it'll just give us the OpenAI answer. Now I'm gonna stick with Gemini because I think it's better. Okay, so now we're gonna come in here and we're gonna write. This is just JavaScript, which if you look at it, all it's really doing is it's turning. We can't pass in this object data, so we're turning it into a string and we're mapping it. Okay, so it's still getting the same information, just it's getting it in a string format, which it can understand, which is really important because it has to be able to understand it. Okay, so now we're gonna go to add option and system message, and here we're just gonna paste in this, and all this really says is that you are an expert newsletter planner. You will receive the 3 articles from the past week. Your job is to come up with a creative and fun title as well as the main topics for this newsletter. Newsletter should be flow nicely, feel informative, and whatever. You pretty much describe what you want this agent to do. Now we have turned on require specific output format. So we need to connect an output parser so that the output parser, what it will do is it will make sure that what the agent outputs matches the format that we want. So I'll show you how we do that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go here and you're going to see output parser, which is here, and you're going to pick structured output parser. And then we're going to do define using JSON schema. Now all this is going to be available for you to just copy and paste, but here's the schema for the output. So what does this mean? We're taking an object, which is like a container, okay? And we're requiring 2 things to be in that object, the title and the topic. And then we've said that the title will be a string and the string will be of the nature a short descriptive title. And then we have topics. And topic will be an array, meaning it won't just be one sentence. It will be a concatenation of things, right? And here we've described it as an array of exactly 3 topics. Now, why have we described it as an array of 3 topics? Because what did we tell the agent to do? We said your job is to come up with the creative and fun title as well as the main topics for this newsletter. So those are the 2 things we're expecting from the agent, and those are the 2 things we put into the output parser. So to make sure that it outputs exactly what we want. So now if I run this flow again, instead of us getting just a long list of things, a long string, we're gonna get structured JSON. Title, the SMB AI Power Up, topic, scaling operations automation, revolutionizing customer service support, and boosting sales and efficiency. Cool. So that's given us the JSON that we needed. Okay. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna connect a split node so that we can split the items, and we're gonna split topics, right? We're gonna split topics. We don't need this over here. Okay, so we split topics. If I execute this step, we got it now as 3 separate items. And these we're gonna feed into another Tavli node. Another Tavli node, we're gonna go for search. And now here's the thing that you need to do is we're gonna use the topics as the query. Here we wrote our query ourselves, but now we wanted to dynamically get the query. We'll put expression and paste it in there. Okay, that's how it's gonna do that. So far we've done everything. We've done the research. We've got the list of topics. Now Tavli now is gonna go ahead and do a deeper research into those topics, and those. Okay, here we have it. You can see scaling operations with automation. And then we have revolutionizing customer service support. And here the last one is boosting sales and efficiency. Okay, so now we have these three things which are in depth. These are very in depth. These we have actual data from actual websites. We've scoured the internet to find all of this. This is now where we're going to write the newsletter based on that. Okay, so I'm going to just bring this node in here and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so just like before, we're setting the source for the prompt defined below, and the topic is json.query. The research is everything that was in the Tavli node. Everything that was in the Tavli node is what we're putting here. The query is what we inserted before, right? It came from this split out node here. Scaling operations to automation is one query, which made it in here. And so when it comes out, it's here, query. Then we're going to take the results and we're going to map them. Now, we're going to feed it in this system prompt, which I'll just make full screen for you to see. Professional newsletter section writer. Your only task is to write one standalone section of a newsletter. Always include a clear section. Write professional, expert, and engaging tone. Do not invent citations. Keep this. Okay, so we have all the stuff that it needs to do. And as you can see, again, we obviously need to connect it to a model and a fallback model. We can just use these ones that we have right here. So we can connect the chat model to Gemini, and we can connect the fallback model to OpenAI. And now this we can execute like this, and it should run now and give us the newsletter, right? That's what this node is going to do, spit out the newsletter. Okay, so we have the newsletter. Obviously, there's three of them because we had fed in three queries, which became three sections of a newsletter right here. Now, we're going to format them all. We don't want to send three emails with three separate newsletters. We want these to be formatted into one single newsletter. So what we use is an aggregate node, and we're just going to, so you go here, you press plus, type in aggregate. You're going to combine individual fields and its output. Now if I run this step, we should just get one massive list. There we go. So you can see now it's all been combined into one item. One item. We went from three items down to one item. Okay? And now we're going to go ahead and just create the final agent. So again, press here, type in agent, create the agent, change this to define below, and we're going to use this. I'll explain it to you right now. Expression. Okay, so this is actually a good lesson to learn because this says planning agent and it is red. Why is it red? This is red because in this JSON we're referring to a planning agent, but there is nothing here named planning agent, right? There is no planning agent here. This is a good time for you to understand how JavaScript object notation works. So if I go ahead here, okay, and I rename this to planning agent, it's going to automatically rename to planning agent 1 because I have a planning agent already here. Yours won't do that. And I come here and I put planning agent 1. Now you can see it's green because it's looking for the output from this node that we've named planning agent 1. Now it's found it, so it's okay. And then we have the sections, which are just basically we're joining them via new lines. So that's all that's happening here. The next thing we're going to set is the system message. So there's a really cool thing I want to show you when it comes to system messages. So here, first let's just set up the chat model. I'm going to go with Gemini, and I'm going to go with my newsletter automation. Okay. And I'm going to also need to set up an output parser. But first, we need to enable require specific output format. Okay, so for the system message, we can use this basic system message right here. You're an expert newsletter editor, you have goals, structure everything in HTML, citations and link rules, and then content, right? So we can just use that as is. And for the output parser, we can go ahead and I'll show you what we're going to do here. I'm going to click output parser and click structured output parser. JSON schema. This will all be in the file I upload, so you don't have to do it yourself. But again, we are we are deciding that we are going to have objects. The type is going to be string, that's the subject. The content is also going to be a string, and we are requiring those two from the model. The model must give us those two things, otherwise the flow will have an error, and it will just give us an error saying that the output doesn't match the schema. Okay, and now lastly, we're going to go here, and you're going to go to Gmail, and we're just going to go with send a message. I'm going to put my email there. The subject is going to come from, you know what, let's just run it first so you can see how it looks. So I'm going to execute this step. Okay, anyways, while that's running, I'll tell you about how to set up your account to be able to send emails from n8n. Okay, so it's given us this whole thing. And now we're gonna just go ahead and type in Gmail. And we'll do send a message. Okay? I'm gonna just put my own email there. The subject, click on expression, and then just drag it into there. Email type is HTML, that's correct. Message, expression, and pull this in here. Now if I execute this step, it's gonna say it's executed successfully. If I go here, I should have gotten another email. Here it is. Scaling operations, revolutionizing customer service, and optimizing resources to boost sales efficiency. Okay. I'll show you how to set up the credentials for email. But just first, this is very ugly. And it doesn't really look that good. It looks absolutely terrible. So what you can do, and what I did, is you just go here, okay? You just Control A or Command A and then Command C and copy this entire system prompt, and then just take a screenshot of this output, okay? Take a screenshot of the output and go into Claude. So I go into Claude, I give it a screenshot of the output, I say this is a system prompt, and I paste in the system prompt that is in that thing, and I say it gave the output attached in the form of HTML to Gmail. It's very dead, not attractive, no color psychology. The information and the quality are okay, but the issue is with how dull it is. Can you fix the system prompt? And Claude gone ahead and give an entire system prompt right here. You're gonna copy this, and that's what I have this new node for. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you that if I copy this system prompt and I go here and I delete this entire system message and I paste in this new Claude system prompt, I execute this step, obviously it's gonna take a second. Okay, it's done. Now I'm gonna press this to send off this new email after we've changed the system prompt in this. I'm gonna go here and I should have another email. Look at that, right? Look at this now. How much better is this compared to what we had before, which was this, right? This is so much better. This is just done by telling Claude to rewrite the system prompt for this one, because you can see now we have a bunch of other rules. We have technical requirements, citation and links, output format, color psychology. We have gone a lot more in depth into what we want, and so we're able to get this much higher quality output. So you see, this is much better than something like this. Okay, so how do you set up email credentials? You're gonna go here to where you had done all this, and you're gonna again make sure you're in your thing, in the project that we had, and you're gonna see the OAuth consent screen, and you're gonna see that you haven't configured it yet. You click Get Started, app name. We're gonna go with n8n, user support email. You can just put your own email. It doesn't really matter. You can go ahead and choose external, anybody with a Google account, or you can go with internal if you want only you to be able to have it. The email address, I'm just gonna put my own email address. You can just put your email address, press next, and this, and continue, and create. Okay, let's try a different way. We can go here and we can set up Gmail as an API key. So you have the Gmail API. Now, if I enable this API, it says you can view and manage Gmail mailbox data. Okay. But now it's active. But now if I go here and I go here and I try and create a new credential, you can see that you need to you need to sign in with Google in order to do all this. But the problem is that if I go sign in with Google and I pick this email, which is the email that we've been using here, I want to allow n8n Cloud to ongoing access to the Google account, enable that, press continue. We have connection successful. If this doesn't happen, if you don't get this, then there's a couple of steps that you need to take, that you need to do. And basically, okay, one thing you can do is seriously ask Gemini. Just tell Gemini how to set up OAuth 2 for Gmail and n8n, and you go through this whole thing. That's if that doesn't work for you. Because if it doesn't, you're going to have to go through and set up a client ID and a client secret, which are very important things that you're going to need for OAuth 2. However, if it works for you directly, then great. If it doesn't, go through Gemini and you should be able to be just fine. Okay, so basically, that's how you do the entire process of developing a newsletter automation just like this. And how you can honestly just use Claude to better prompt your own system to get a much better output from this to something like this. Much better. I didn't do a single thing in this entire chat. I literally just said, I'm upset with how it looks, fix the prompt, and we just copied the prompt it gave us. That is the entire chat. There is nothing else there. Okay, so I hope you liked it. It's long at the beginning because you don't know how to do everything at first, but the more you build, the better you're gonna get at building. And the better you get at building, the more impressive things you can build. Like for example, the next video is gonna be about how to use Gemini's file search to actually search for files better, and it's a great way to do RAG, and we'll get into RAG and all the concepts behind RAG, and at some point later on we'll get into building agents in Cloud Code and how to use anti-gravity or cursor to build agents that can heal their own issues. So if it makes a mistake, it can fix it and then it can make sure that mistake never happens again, which is a cool self-annealing loop we can get into. But other than that, hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next one.